I am super excited to welcome my guest. You may know him from his legendary role as Jackie Childs on Seinfeld, his work in Atlantis, The Lost Empire, Meet the Spartans, Smallville, Doom Patrol, or one of his other 193 credits on IMDb. He's a badass practitioner of Wing Chun. He's an all-around great guy, my friend Phil Morris.
Billy.
Welcome to Hollywood Dreammaker, brother.
Man, I appreciate you having me. It's we've known each other a long time. This is a real honor. So thank you for having me.
You know, speaking of that, we met, what, 1990? When did we do that Martin pilot?
93, 4?
Something
94?
like that. Yeah. So we've known each other a while.
A long time. That was a beautiful experience too. You know, I mean, sometimes you don't know why you have them, and maybe this was the reason why we were on that set, you know?
Yeah, the greatest thing to come out of that is our friendship.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
It would have been nice if the pilot went. You know, we did a pilot together it was a spin-off of the Martin Lawrence show.
Mm-hmm.
It was a backdoor pilot where we had our own record label.
Yeah.
And we ran the show.
Yeah, I was the boss. You were the A&R guy.
Yeah. It was a fun show.
No, it was really good. The spinoff was for Tashina Arnold, who's a wonderful actress and has done so many wonderful things. And yeah, it was a great pilot. I don't know why it didn't picked up, but that's the business sometimes.
That's show business.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're recording this, I think it's August 26th. You know, we're 5-6 months into this, you know, COVID. How you holding up?
I'm doing pretty well. I think I've been one of the lucky ones, quite honestly. I got back from Atlanta doing the show Doom Patrol, which you know so graciously said that I was on, and it's a wonderful experience. But I got back from Atlanta like 2 or 3 days before everything shut down, and like another 4 days before our industry completely shut down. And then I was home for a couple of months, just doing this whole mitigation protocol stuff. And then I got a call from a person I'd worked with before, similar to yourself, who was doing a movie in Arkansas. And they were one of the first SAG certified productions to be up and running during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the movie was just so beautiful. The script was so right, with all the social change that we're hopefully going through and what's going on in our society. This movie takes place in 1866, which is 3 years after the Civil War ended. It's a beautiful horror film, morality tale, and there's some wonderful actors. Tim Blake Nelson, who's a Coen Brothers stalwart, and he was just starred in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs last year.
Yeah, I love him.
It was a wonderful, wonderful piece. David Arquette is one of the stars of the movie. Myself, Tommy Hobson. Anyway, it's called The Ghosts of the Ozarks.
Awesome.
It's a wonderful picture. But I wanted to be a part of the mitigation procedure, and they were top notch. I got tested right when I got there, negative. Got tested when I wrapped, negative. They sent me home with a home test, and 10 days after I got home, I tested negative. So I was a very successful case. That's one of the things I'm doing. I'm the new commander in this new Star Wars video game called Star Wars Squadrons. It's coming out in October. It's intense. It's beautiful. I've been working with the Lucas people and EA and PlayStation, and I've been working on this for about like a year or so. So I'm very excited for that to come out.
So let's talk about that for a second. You know, you do a lot of voiceover work.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for a while now. I mean, how many years have you been doing voiceover work?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I started when I was very young, but really as a career, probably the last 15 years, 16, 17 years, about that, where it's been a real going concern. I love it because it allows me to diversify my talent, and that's a big thing for us, right? It's allow your talent to be put in all the places that it wants to go. Don't hold yourself back from where it wants to go. And I think voiceover was one of those places my talent was telling me I needed to go. So I jumped into it, and it's been a really wonderful journey.
So what are some of the projects people may have heard you on?
I did the PJs for a long time. That was this show with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy played the superintendent of this project's dwelling, building. And so when Eddie didn't feel like doing his voice, I would do the voice. So I did almost an entire season of that voice as Thurgood Stubbs. So if anybody knows the PJs and they listen, they can hear the difference between Eddie and I in certain episodes. So there's that. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, which you mentioned again. That was phenomenal. That was a Disney feature film, which has been incredible. I'm doing this new show on Cartoon Network called Craig of the Creek. It's a great show for kids, and it's about this kid, Craig, who builds all these wonderful things, and it's about inventing things and being creative and using your fantasy mind. I play his grandfather, which is where he got all of his inventions from and his inventiveness from, which is kind of cool. And what other voiceovers am I doing? The Star Wars game is pretty intense. And I just got another great series that I cannot talk about until they let me talk about it. But I'm just doing so many projects that I'm blessed, man.
So
Blessed.
if I'm a young, I created the Hollywood Dreammaker podcast to inspire young artists to follow their dreams, and it's whatever, maybe you want to be a stunt guy. I've had stunt guys on the show. If you want to do some voiceover work. So if I'm a young actor and I'm thinking of doing some voiceover work, what advice would you give me?
Like I would give any actor, get to the best acting class you can find. I think great voiceover talents are also really great actors. Not only are they great actors, but they're interested in so many things in life. Because remember, you're just using your voice. You're not walking and talking. You only have your voice and your vocal register to draw from. So where else do you draw from? Your imagination and all of those moments of relationship that you have. And the more places you can relate to agilely, the more things you're familiar with. You don't have to be an expert, but that you're familiar with politics and sports and religion and culture and race and society. And the more things you can be interested in, the more places you can take your vocal register. And when I listen to things like British Premier League soccer, right? I'm listening to all the dialects and the voices, and I'm absorbing whether it's a Scotsman or a Brit or an Aussie. Or I spent 3 years in Australia, so that accent is really like right here for me all the time. I just like to play. You got to keep playing, and I think that's sometimes what we miss. We're so busy trying to get a job, so busy trying to fit our talent into something. We forget playing. Just play. I do a lot of animation. I do a lot of kid stuff. I keep my mind fertile, my imagination fertile. And that's the best thing you can do as an actor, period. But as a vocal actor, you got to do the same things. And then you have to test your voice out. In this Star Wars game, I play a British commander. Well, I had to get that dialect like down, right? So I have a really good Australian accent, like I said. So every time I would start with this lovely British accent, I would start to get real argy-bargy, and it would start to get real Aussie on me, real fast. And so I went to the auditions, and it would start in this beautiful, lilting British, what they call royal pronunciation. And then I'd slide into this Australian hardcore dude. And they were like, Phil, they love you. They think you're really good, but they think they're hearing Australian out of your face. I'm like, these guys are good because yes, that's my go-to. So the guy who plays my son on Doom Patrol is a guy named Javan Wade. He affects an American accent, but he's a Brit. So I called him and I'm like, how do you hold it? How do you hold your accent? Because I had never heard it until like we were talking on the phone when I called him about this project. And he said a very interesting thing. He says, you got to get rid of the embarrassment that you feel when you're talking in that accent to anybody. And as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, that's right. I have got to get rid of that, that looking at myself, that listening to myself, that critic. As soon as I got rid of the critic, then I was very good at and I got the job. So that's a part of it too.
Very cool. I'd like to go back a little bit. I'd like to go to the beginning. Your journey into Hollywood is different than mine. I came out to Hollywood with $200 in my pocket. I didn't know a soul out here.
Right.
Your father was a legend, a legend. I mean, I grew up watching your father on television as a little boy in Mission Impossible. And, your father was one of the first African-American actors on television. I mean, he really was, it was groundbreaking. And, those are some big shoes to fill, So I'm just curious on your path to Hollywood.
I never wanted to be an actor as a kid because everybody was always hitting me with, are you going to be like your dad, Little Greg? Well, first of all, my name's Phil, not Little Greg. I'm my own person. And I got that early, right? So I did everything else but act. I was, sports guy, creative artist. I went to Art Center for a minute. I loved history and English and music. And I just was not going to do the acting thing because everybody was hitting me with that. Well, all the way during school, I would do little plays or we'd do readings, or I was always the reader. And I was just had this facility beyond my father. I had my own facility for expressing myself. And after high school, I got involved in a movie as a production assistant. It was a movie my father was involved with. And I was doing it for the summer for my job before I went to art school the next season or semester. Long story short, I got a part on the movie. And it was great. And I loved it. And I thought it was so much fun. I'm 17 years old. It's an Army picture. And it was an Air Force picture, actually, with Billy D. Williams, Henry Fonda, my father, Chad Everett, Merle Haggard, Buck Henry. I mean, these amazing talents. I mean, every one of those people I've named are legends, right? So here I'm 17 years old, having this experience. It was amazing on location. I'm playing Army like we always did as kids, right? I'm just being a kid. I'm like, this is it. I've found it. I never wanted to work as a kid. I never wanted a 9 to 5. I wanted my work to be play. I want the line to be blurred. This is it. So I came back to Los Angeles. We were shooting in the Mojave Desert, came back to LA, and I started in an acting class because that's what my father told me, exactly what I just said. He goes, you want to do this? I'm going to find you the best coach I can find you. And he found me a guy named Guy Stockwell. And I went to Guy's class for about a year. And I just fell in love. And then I went into Tony Barr's Film Actors Workshop. Then I went into Harvey Lembeck's improv workshop. So I did a legitimate theater workshop, a film actors workshop, and an improv class within 2 years. I mean, I was in all 3 of these classes. I finally settled on a guy named John Lenn, who was my acting coach for years and years until he retired. And, and I was doing commercials and modeling and doing that kind of thing. And then I got a role on Young and the Restless. And I got a 3-year contract. I was on the show for 2 years. And that's what really kind of broke me out into the public sphere, was that. Because when you're on daytime, when you're on every day, you're on 20 times a month if you're doing 5 days a week. And that really helped me get my chops up. That's a tough grind. And if you can make that work, you can make a lot of things work. So that was pretty much my early journey into this business.
Yeah, when I was producing a film in New York, I was looking for actors, and the best actors were the soap opera actors. I mean, I cast a couple right off the soap opera because, they're constantly working on their craft every day. I mean, they're having to pick up material. They made big choices. They're coming in prepared, and they're off book. And I was so impressed with their performances that, I cast them in my film. So, I think it's tough because, they're pretty much selling soap, and, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
Yep.
And you better get it right the first time because it's a moving train, and you better sabotage that thing otherwise they'll air it. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And then and they will replace you in a heartbeat. I mean, you'll come back with the same name and the same relationship looking completely different. You know what I mean? And you do those storylines, they last for quite some time. I hesitate to say that you're going over and over stuff, but because they'll get upset with you. But you have to find a way to make all those choices new, in the moment, fresh. You know what I mean? It's the illusion of the first time, as William Gillette would say. And that's what soaps give you. I mean, it's in a way akin to theater, other than you don't do the same text every time. You're doing different text, but it's the same character. You're dealing with the same relationships for maybe years. And it does give you a great facility for learning dialogue, for making strong choices quickly. All of the things that you're doing are fairly melodramatic. That's the nature of soap opera acting and soap opera storylines and concepts. So for a young actor especially, I think it's tremendous training. And my only other caveat would be, don't stay there too long.
Yeah, you get stuck.
It's easy.
It's easy. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of actors, I've worked on General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, and I spent some time, and, some of those actors are really good actors, but they're now typecast as, Sonny Corinthos.
Exactly. You make a choice, I guess, at that point, and hopefully they're paying you well enough so that your career in that show is all you need, because it is hard to break out of that.
So let's talk about your journey. I mean, how you on the soap, you broke out of it because you've played a bunch of different characters. I mean, what's that journey like? I know it's different for, I mean, I know for me as a young actor, there was typecasting, I was playing all the gang members and the killers and the rapists and the bad guys and stuff like that. What was your journey like,
Well,
coming
I
in?
was playing that young black lead, the romantic lead for a long time, and that was great. And that's what I played in the soaps, and that's what I played for a long time after. But the reason I left the soap was because I felt I needed to explore my journey more than that would let me do. And I really appreciated Bill Bell and Lee Phillip Bell and all the people over at CBS. They were great. I just am not a corporate guy. So I wanted more. I wanted to experience more of this, the nighttime, primetime, movies, theater, and doing daytime. It's hard. You literally, you're doing 30 pages a day. You go home at night, you learn the next 30 pages for the next day. You have no social life, thank goodness I was married. So I left that show because I knew in me I needed more. And I think that's the deal with me. I've needed more. I've needed to find my funny. I needed to find my evolution, my authenticity as a
Well, you
human
found
being.
it. You found your funny. I don't know where you found it, but you found your funny. I mean,
I found it. Yeah.
let's jump into that. Jackie Childs, Seinfeld.
Okay. Maybe you can relate to this. We take ourselves very seriously when we get into this. As young men, especially, we're like, man, I want to be an action star. I want to be, Marlon Brando. I want to be
Pacino,
Sidney
De Niro.
Poitier. Yeah, you want to be. Those are your heroes. Those are your
Yeah.
idols, right? And so you kind of fashion yourself into that form. And for me, being Greg Morris's son, my father was very serious. And he was always preaching to me and my sisters and I, if you're going to be in this business, be a serious actor, be a straight actor. We've got enough comedians and dancers and singers. We need people to take us seriously. And that resonated with me almost too much because, like I said, I had to find my funny. Well, I was a funny guy. My dad was not a real funny guy in life. He was a pretty serious guy in life. So that worked for him. But I was I likened myself to a funny dude, but I could not make dialogue funny because I was considering myself so significant and so serious that I wouldn't just let it go. I wouldn't just fly with it. I just wouldn't make the funny faces. And so for a long time, if any of you know my career at all, I played straight men, whether it was on Fresh Prince or 227 or Webster or, I mean, any of a number of shows, even in the show that we did, the spinoff, I was fairly the straight guy. You know what I mean? I mean, you were a funny guy in it, and we had AJ who was funny, and we had some really funny people. Tashina's hilarious, and I pretty much was the rudder in a lot of the comedies that I did until I finally let it go, until I finally evolved, and I went, what am I doing? I don't care what I look like. I really don't care what I sound like. That's when I found my funny. When I was holding it together and keeping it in the box, you can't be funny because you can't be fluid. You can't allow those impulses to take you into a funny place. You're always looking for the significance. So as soon as I let all that go, man, then the Seinfelds came, and then the Wanda at Large came, and then the Love That Girls came, and now I just do as much comedy as I do drama. I mean, there's no difference. It's 50-50, easy. But it's taking yourself into a place that you don't take yourself so seriously, that you're willing to laugh at yourself, that you're willing to be the joke, not just get the joke, but be it. That really helped me.
When I came out to Hollywood, I was, the serious theater actor from New York, the Strasberg, De Niro, Pacino, Brando, and I was just so focused on the serious stuff, and then something magical happened. Is my career was sitcoms. That's how I got my career. My series I did with Matthew Perry. It was a sitcom. Who's the Boss? Married with Children. I made a career on being funny. But I never tried to be funny. I just just played it straight. The straighter, my character's just dumb. He'll say something, without even thinking.
Well, I'm convinced that the best funny characters don't know that they're funny. They have no clue. Jackie Childs doesn't know he's an idiot. I mean, you know what I mean? No clue. That's what makes them funny. We're like, we can't believe that this person actually lives and walks and talks in those shoes. So it's brilliant. That's a brilliant choice.
I got to tell you, I was really proud of you.
Thank you.
During this whole craziness, with Black Lives Matter and the whole down in Manhattan Beach, they had protests, and I saw you as a leader standing up and giving a speech. I saw it somewhere on Facebook, Instagram, or something, and I was so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, please. I really didn't know if you wanted to go there because I do want us to inspire the young actors, and but this is, I guess, a part of it, right? It's inspiring humanity, and we are in a tough point. We're in a nexus. We're in a, as I've been saying, an inflection point. And I mean, I felt like I needed to speak up. I mean, the rally was right in my neighborhood. The incident lives in me fully every day. You know, racism for me is my kryptonite. As a kid, I just couldn't understand how someone could hate me just because of the color of my skin. I mean, you don't like me because of what I say, or because we get in a fight or an argument, or that's one thing. But just to look at me and say, I hate you because you're dark. As a child, I couldn't understand it. To this day, I understand it intellectually. It's still my kryptonite. It's still what lays me low. And so the pain of this moment, I think, is what we're missing. We want to be smart about it, and we want to talk to people, and we want to say, hey, protest, but don't be violent. We want to say, our way of life and American way of life is intact and is going well and going forward. Well, not for all of us, just not for all of us. And I think what we're missing, like I said, is the pain that some of us feel. And I think if we could understand, or if not understand, accept the fact that what's happening is an outgrowth of pain. It isn't that we want to destroy things. It isn't that we want to bring this country down. Is that we want this country to speak for all of us. Doc Rivers, who's one of my favorite coaches in the NBA, said it best last night. He said, why do we continue to love this country when this country doesn't love us back? And that gave me pause for thought. But in my opinion, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for what I feel is right. I'm going to fight for what I feel is just. And until my last breath, I will keep my hope intact. You're quite religious, and I honor that and I respect that. It gives you a sense of light. It's what you use to go from the darkness to the light. And we as African Americans have found a lot of darkness in our journey. And so the protests are an effort to find light, to find an answer, to give voice to this time. And we all have to stand up and be heard. We all have to carry on this conversation so it moves forward. They ask me all the time, well, what's the answer? And I say, well, this is the answer. It's an Italian American talking to an African American about this issue. That's the answer. The answer is continuing to give this voice, to continuing to say, I don't understand. And I'm African American and I still don't understand. I live through the filter of celebrity and privilege. I live in a beautiful house in Manhattan Beach. I grew up in Beverly Hills, California. We mentioned my father being the legend. So I am not normal in terms of what we consider an African American male. Yet and still, I am subject to most of these things that go on. However, even though I'm African American and a male, I still don't understand the daily fear that a lot of my people feel because they're living in such desperate situations. So that's what I'm trying to bring voice to. And I've spoken to many outlets. And a beautiful thing when I was in Arkansas, now I'm in Arkansas, this is the South. I'm in Jonesboro, Arkansas and Truman, Arkansas. Shout out to both. And we're doing this scene. And I'm kind of commanding this scene, and it's a big scene for me. And we break, and some of the extras, who were local extras, come, and one of the guys comes over to me, big old dude, wearing the shroud of the extras gear, and he says, "Hey, you're doing a good job tonight." And I said, "Thank you." And he says, "I'm the sheriff in town here." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I've been watching your podcasts." Really? He leans into me, Billy, and he says, "You're absolutely right. We have to do better. We must do better." Now, this is a white sheriff in Truman, Arkansas. And when he came up to me, he didn't have to say that to me. When he came up to me, I'm like, there's hope. There's a chance. He literally said, we have to deal with our citizenry in a better manner. Citizenry, it was beautiful. And so that's what gives me hope. The youth give me hope. Old jaundiced dudes like me, we're kind of stuck unless we can make a big shift, right? And I don't count on that big shift. I know I can hopefully make it in myself, but I don't expect it from anybody else. But I do expect something from the youth. And I do expect something from the people who are living in the light to speak truth and be honest and honorable in our relationships with one another. So,
Beautifully said. And thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Mhm.
That was, it was
Painful.
beautiful.
Painful.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Well, what is your podcast, by the way, for my listeners, so they can check it
I am
out?
not doing a podcast right now, but
Okay.
it was I was doing this thing called Wing Chun Wednesdays. Every Wednesday I'd be on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and I'd talk about Wing Chun Kung Fu, and then I would reflect the training on how we live our lives. And then when all of this came up, I started to speak on social injustice, and so that's what this gentleman saw, one of
Okay.
my Instagram posts.
So Wing Chun, I mean, how does that affect your acting?
Um, how does it affect my acting? Um, and maybe you can speak to this too. I don't know if I'll ever give the perfect performance. I don't think it's in any of it. I don't think there is a perfect performance, right? Same with Wing Chun. It is perfect, I am not. I practice a system that I can never perfect, yet I try to perfect it. So it gives me a sense of truth that I cannot always give voice to. And we have a conversation about what we feel. It's how you feel, how I feel, and we can have some facts and we can have truth that goes between the two of us, and that's great. But is it really truth, or is it just peppered with our own impressions and our own point of view? When I train, when I move in space, and I train this morning, and somebody goes to hit me, and I pass the hand, and I put my hand on you, we don't have to discuss that. You miss me, I got you. Now, it's a high-level chess game, sure. But over the decades that I've been doing this high-level chess game, and I feel like when my body's in the flow and I'm in the truth, I cannot be hit. I hit and express easily. When we're working on set, working on our characters, when I'm living in the truth, it's beyond the dialogue. It's you and I in a scene. There is no crew. It is just us expressing truth to one another. That's not acting, that's being, right? And we don't want to act, really. We want to be in our scenes. So training Wing Chun, for me, has helped me understand the truth beyond the word, right? Beyond my opinion, beyond your opinion. And so when we're working in a scene and we know it's working, man, we know it's working. They cut, whatever, or we go, we don't have to discuss it. We know, and that feeling, I need that feeling more. And Wing Chun, training Wing Chun, whether I train by myself or I'm engaging with someone else, helps me exercise that truth that's beyond my conscious mind. And that's how it assists my work as an actor.
That's great. Phil, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. We talked about race. And, if I'm a African-American young actor and I'm thinking about Hollywood, what advice would you give to an actor, that's just kind of getting started?
I think it's a really good time now to be in a minority talent, quite frankly. I think there are a lot of opportunities. I think there are a lot of areas that we exist now that we didn't exist when I started. Certainly we didn't exist when my father started, vis-a-vis the executive body, network studio heads, producers, project managers that are involved in creating African-American projects or minority projects. So people are on the lookout for you. Where before I kind of had to slide in, I had to, hey, are they going to see me today? Or, is this a part for a black guy? Now we have actual communities, whether it's a Tyler Perry or a Tim Story, who's a great director, Ava DuVernay, who's an amazing director. All these people, a friend of mine, Robin Thede, who's a great female comedian and producer. She just got an overall deal at Warner Brothers. These were not happening when I was a younger actor. They happened for people like Jamie Foxx, or for people like a Will Smith, who were just incandescent and you couldn't deny them. But now there's so many opportunities. And I would say to young actors of all ilk, work on your projects. Billy will tell you about it. It takes a long time for us to figure it out. But I think as we work on ourselves, we work on our own projects, things open up for us. We're in a creative headspace. We are dealing not just with the constraints of the business, which we can't always control. but we are controlling our creative lives and our creative journey by creating projects for ourselves, finding agreement with our friends who are then going to come in. You know, we work together, will come in and help you with your vision. As we do those things, we open up other doors unconsciously, as opposed to me just saying, you know, go to a great acting class. Open yourself up to the opportunities that are existing now in this technological age that we did not have before. You can have your own YouTube channel. You know, you can create your own show and actually put it out there. It depends on your level of creativity and your level of immersion. When we started, we were 8x10 guys. What I mean is we go to class, do our thing, probably work that day at our part-time gig, whatever it was, a restaurant job or a clothing store, whatever it was. And then maybe we get an audition. We go, okay, well, can I go? Can I leave? Can I do it on my lunch hour? Leave on your lunch hour. We were 8x10. Yeah, here you go. You do your audition, do your thing. You leave, you call your agent. Yeah, right. Did I get it? They go, oh, I don't know. Okay, I'll be at work. Call me. You know, that was it. There was no other way for us to reveal our talent to anybody. Now you got the internet, you got Instagram, you got Instagram Live, you got Facebook Live, you got all these things where you can cobble together something of you and present it to the world. Before, we needed a cameraman and a sound man and a studio. It was cost prohibitive.
Now everybody has a movie studio in their back pocket.
In their back pocket. So, you know, yeah, so that's what I say. I say keep expressing, keep creating, keep learning. I mean, there's so much out here now. So that's what I'd say to people.
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to have a little piece of footage for your demo reel, you had to actually book a part and then hopefully get that piece of footage so you can put it on your demo reel.
Go to Jan's video.
Yeah, Jan's video, have Jan edit it up. You know, yeah, I mean, and it was on that big ass 3/4 tape.
Yes. Jan Matarno, Jan's video on Yucca.
On Yucca. Jan was great. You know, people are going, who's Jan? Jan was a guy that if you had an episode on whatever TV show, The Fall Guy, Jan would record it for you, and then he would sell you it on a VHS copy. And then if you had enough of those, he would edit them up for you into a demo.
At another cost.
Yeah, but now, you know, you can create your own demo. I tell my actors all the time, I says, you take that phone, you can write your own material, write what you know, right from the heart. You know, you can film it on your phone. You know, I mean, the future of casting now is self-tape. So you better get used to filming yourself. You better be filming yourself on a daily basis. Work on that accent. Work on whatever it is that your castability, your star power, whatever it is that you see yourself getting cast in. Well, then you should be working on that right now.
Yep,
don't wait.
Absolutely.
You know, TikTok. You know, COVID has been. I look at it as a gift. You know, this has really been a time to get some extra time to work on your craft. You know, this is not a time to lay down. You know, this is a time to rise up and really grow and get strong and work on your craft, your chops, instrument, man. Your body, you know, everything, you know, really having all that. So when the opportunity shows up, that audition shows up, it's like, boom, I'm all set up.
Ready,
I got
baby.
my self-taping studio here. I got my camera. I got my lights. I'm good to go. You know,
or I get ready if you stay ready.
I even have that piece of footage. So, you know, let's say I see myself playing that cop. Well, guess what? I already shot a cop role. I have this footage. Maybe I send that over and they can see it. And I go, oh my gosh, that's a cop. Let's bring him in.
Right. No, I love it. I love it. And, you know, you bring up a very interesting point. Get right with it, because this is the now. It ain't the future. Self-tapes are now. And so I did another podcast earlier today, and we were talking about that. And some of the actors were like, you know, I love going into the office because, you know, that connectivity and the connection. Yes, it's wonderful. That's going to be less now. So you're going to have to find that connectivity without that. And that's taken a little bit for me to understand. Because I always want to go in and have the energy, the requisite energy for my character and for me, regardless of where it is. It doesn't matter whether it's Paramount or Fox or wherever, or at your studio. It doesn't matter. So self-tapes were a little bit odd for me at first, because it was a different process, especially when I had to tape it at home and I had to bring friends in to read and I had to set up the whole thing. And I was like, I hate this. No more, buddy. I love them. I love the process. And I go and I actually give business to people like Creation Station and the people who are set up to do that. Because again, I like going in and I like the connection. So I really like getting out of my house, getting in my car, sending them the sides. I'm going to get there. There's another actor reading opposite me. I'm walking into another space. It's not my living room. I kind of dig it. give me some cool energy. I got a little anxiousness going, you know, which I like. And it's really been great for me, these self-tapes, especially going into a place that isn't my living room. I get that same kind of, oh, I gotta, you know,
Excitement.
it's excitement, and it keeps you straight, man. It keeps you straight. And I need that, especially after so long. We've been doing this for so long. I got to keep inspiring myself, motivating myself. And self-tapes are actually doing it, kind of digging it.
So you say you've been doing this a long time. How long have you been doing it? How long have you been in the business?
My first real, I stopped any other job that I was doing at about 18 years old. I'm 61.
Wow, you look great.
Thank you. Yeah. Because I do what I most love to do in the world. Well, yeah, it's not a mystery. I eat well. I sleep pretty good. I work out like a freak. I love what I do. I don't ever work a day in my life. Beautiful. It's a beautiful path. I highly recommend it.
Do you think Hollywood will ever be the same? I mean, you know, you worked on one of the first projects, you know, kind of in a bubble, kind of, you know, making sure everybody's tested and stuff. What do you think the future of Hollywood looks like now with everything that's going on?
Well, the near future is going to be exactly what I just mentioned about Ghosts of Ozarks. And I'll be honest with you, it didn't affect me at all. Didn't affect my work at all. Didn't intrude on my process at all. I dug it, you know, and I love sets. I love set life. But the mitigation protocol didn't affect me, not one whit. And on set, everybody was beautiful, and they had their masks on until it was like, okay, camera's rolling, masks off, in your pocket, cut, whap, mask on. Like automatic. After the second day, everybody was just like, it was automatic. And I think that that's going to be the future of our business for the near future. Voiceovers are great. I've done a few voiceover jobs where I literally go into the studio, call them when I get there. They open the door. I walk in. Nobody's there. The door's open. You know, I walk up. The door to the studio is open. I walk in. The engineer's on the other side. I close the door. I have my own headphones. And then everybody else is on a Zoom connect. So the director and the producers and everything, the writer, they're on a Zoom connect. The engineer's there. And I've done several episodes of various cartoons that way. That's what's happened.
Yeah, if you could go back and give the young Phil some advice, what would that be?
The thing that comes to mind is, you know, we always think about the roles we didn't do or the ones we didn't get, right? What would it be? Take yourself less seriously earlier. Just be humble and learn from the best. Don't think you got it. You know, I came from this business. I got into it, a good looking dude. I spoke well, a good physique, you know, and it's just going to open. The doors are just going to open, you know. And I really had to learn about the craft. You know, I had to learn about, you know, my internal workings, who I was. And I wish that I had started that journey right when I decided, you know, and I didn't fool myself with the construct of Hollywood and being a star. I don't even know how you get there. I only know how to be better at what I'm doing today and tomorrow and the next day. And I wish I had that simplicity and that humility earlier. I think that's what I wish I'd have changed, if anything.
That's great advice. I can't thank you enough, Phil, for taking the time to, you know, come on the show. It means a lot to me. You know, I respect you as an actor. I respect you as a human being. You know, I consider you a brother, and you know, there's some beautiful wisdom that you dropped today. So I really appreciate you taking this time.
Well, thank you for having me. I love you. Billy Gallo, I love you. I really do.
Love you, brother. I love you. And
Thank
you know,
you.
once this calms down a little bit, I can't wait to, you know, spend some time together.
Yeah. Let's do that, man. Maybe do a little work together. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I've been blessed. I mean, I act every day, all day long. I'm everybody's scene partner, you know. So I mean, I'm really getting my fill of acting, but you know, I have a couple of things, you know, I'm developing right now. There's a couple of things that that are going to happen real soon. And
Good.
there's the project that we worked on that, there's some movement on that.
That's a great project. It's just
Thank
so
you.
good. So good for you. It's just such a great premise, and I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you, brother. All right. Well, listen, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
Will do. Love to the family.
Same here. Send my love.
I will do, buddy. Take care of yourself.
Take care, brother. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Please rate, review, share this with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't. Please take whatever you get from here, the golden nuggets, and apply them to your career. Go after your dreams with passion. Don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. I believe in you. Follow your dreams. I'll see you in Hollywood.